I am Nate WL777 and this is Character Piece. Today we'll be discussing an anime by the name of Lord Marksman and Varadis. This is originally aired in 2014. It is 13 episodes. It is a fantasy adventure anime. The anime takes place in a parallel Europe. It focuses around a Count of Asace named Tigra Vorn. Tigra is the main character. Tigra is captured by a war maiden, and the other main character is Eleonora Vitaria. So I'm going to make sure I get that last name right. Eleonora enslaves Tigra because she has a crush on him, and because of his skills with a bow make him very valuable. The anime focuses around the relationship of those two and how they kind of come together to defend off other opposing kingdoms from conquering their kingdoms, enslaving their people. The anime itself is really just another mediocre anime. I felt like the world building in it was pretty bland, pretty poor. The character development is pretty bland, pretty poor. Especially at the beginning of it, there were a lot of convenient things happening to advance the story. The narrative wasn't really clear on that one. I think the animation itself was pretty decent, but it definitely had flat points in it, and especially like when it came to the world building, you get like just your standard castle, your standard village, people standing around, really flat. And I felt like some of the choices that they made was pretty poor with the animation. There were some better points to it, like during the action scenes, which honestly there wasn't a ton of action in it, especially at the beginning. I think the action picked up towards the end. And they did a really good job. I think that's probably the strongest point of it, is when they did like one-on-one battles. And when they did one-on-one battles, those were actually pretty fun to watch. It was pretty good animation, pretty intense scenes, and good action. So, but that didn't happen very often, just to be honest about it. The action was pretty boring, and there was some choices that were made during it that was really confusing, where they would come up to where they would have big battles, and it would be this kingdom against this kingdom. And they would go to a narrator, and the narrator voices over the strategy. This unit went and flanked this unit, and it was done with like a CGI battle. Little CGI figures that represent each unit and each side, kind of like something you would see on the History Channel when it's discussing old battles in history. I thought the choice itself was very, very poor decision, and it really took you out of the anime, and it made it, it didn't flow very well. You'd be watching one scene, then all of a sudden narration, then you'd be watching another scene, and then all of a sudden narration. And especially at the beginning of it, they did it quite a bit. I think it kind of petered out as you went through, and probably was a choice of the animator themselves realized that it was just a stupid way to go about it, maybe. But anyways, it really was a poor choice, and I felt like there was a lot of poor choices. This could have been a much better anime. The story was there. I think that they could have ran with the story and done it. If they would have done better animation, better character building, and better world building, it probably would have been a much better anime. Again, there are some animation in it that's pretty good, but a lot of flat points too as well. The voiceover work was really sort of cheesy. A lot of these characters are just cheesy, corny characters. Not a lot of depth to them. Pretty shallow, and there's lots of like whiny voices, and then like maniacal laughing, especially the beginning of it. It's just kind of poor voiceover work. The dialogue was corny. There wasn't a lot of important things or intelligent things being said in this. The actual enemies themselves, the foes, seem to be a little bit more interesting than the heroes. And again, I think the heroes are just pretty bland characters. The biggest fault was that narration, like I said, and then the story and the animation ultimately is what kind of leads you to want to finish it. I did finish it. It was a little bit of a struggle, but I made it through it, and I actually felt like towards the end of the animation it picked up a little bit. There was a lot more of the one-on-one action scenes that made it good. That was like the best part of it, and I felt like the storyline was interesting enough that you wanted to kind of see it out and see where it went. But yeah, I would say this one is definitely not for kids. There is not full blown nudity, but there is some scenes that push that envelope a little bit. And then, like, there is a whole, this is what I would call a cleavage anime. There's a lot of focus on the female body parts. Yeah, I wouldn't let my kid watch it. Maybe 16 years old, something like that. Again, it's my opinion. You can choose with your kids how you do that. I always like to put that out there. And yeah, my favorite character, she would have to be Lori Ludmala. They didn't really say her full name in it. I don't think. Maybe they did and I missed it. Again, kind of boring dialogue even in this. But anyways, Lori Ludmala. She is the most independent, I think, of all the people in there. She kind of thinks for herself, which I like. She's kind of got that little chip on her shoulder because she's really small. And I just felt like maybe she was the most fleshed out and well-developed characters of the main ones, with actual purpose driven behind her. Some of the foes in it, I think if they would have put them in it a little bit longer, one of them might have become my favorite character, because I thought that they did those a lot better. And all right, I think that's going to be a soft recommendation for me. If you've watched all my other videos and you've watched the good ones already, and you're just looking for some anime to watch to kill the time, I guess I could probably suggest this one. It is, like I said, a soft recommendation. I'm going to go with a 7.4, which isn't very good. Like I said, I just felt like it was corny, some bad decisions made. Could have been a lot better. Anyways, if you watch this, discuss your characters below. Let me know what you think of my choice of character. Let me know if you think that I overrated this, if I underrated this. Am I being too harsh on this? Was this barely watchable in your opinion? Hit like if you like, and subscribe.